indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You good? Okay.
We do not have any public comments, so we will move on to approval of minutes. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the minutes from the special board meeting on February 1st, 2024, and the regular board meeting on February 8th, 2024, as submitted.
I'll move.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries. And we will now move on to superintendent's report.
Thank you. I would like to begin my report by inviting up Mr. TV Paul, who is going to introduce several of our student athletes. Mr. TV Paul.
You can move it back up. Thank you, Mr. Dolan. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the audience, and good evening. Before I get into what I came up here for, is to introduce our student athletes, I'd like to take a minute to congratulate our girls basketball team and our coaches for a phenomenal run. Anybody that was part of that or witnessed any of those games, you know how exciting it was. It really brought the community together, and I think we're going to be able to do it again next year. So congratulations to our girls basketball program for making it to the Elite Eight. We do have two board members that had daughters, Carly and Kendall, and to commemorate, if I get this out of here, to commemorate the season for you, I have two OHSA official regional medals for you two as well. So
That was nice. That's lovely. What?
pretty cool.
Thank you so much. Oh, nice.
Oh, thank you, Rick. Oh, thank you so much. You did a really wonderful job, by the way, at each of those, so thank you for representing Streetsboro the way that you did.
Well, thank you. It's
In
an
all,
honor.
in all the places. Columbus, we were in Barberton, you were there quickly.
Okay, so last Wednesday we had what was called a leadership and mental health training. It was sponsored by the Ohio State University Life Sports Program, and we had 246 student athletes, sophomores and juniors from the MAT conference here at Streetsboro for a 2-hour period. We had 52 student athletes of our own here, and I brought these young ladies and men tonight, and they're going to talk a little bit about their experience. And they wanted to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves instead of me introducing, so that's what's going to happen. We're going to start with Arthur Scott.
Excellent.
Hello, everybody. My name is Arthur Scott. I play football. And at the mental health conference last week, it helped me, it showed me different ways to check on my teammates and be there for my teammates. And like one of the examples where they showed us, are you on the bus, or are you in the bus? Are you in the front of the bus, in the middle of the bus, or the back of the bus, or chasing the bus? I feel like that's really, it really helped me because some people can't just ask what's wrong, and some people can't just say what's wrong, but that gives you like a gauge of like, are you okay? Are you good, bad? Are you just here? I feel like that really helped. It showed me, like I've used that in my classroom, around the school, at work, and it also showed me how to just be there for my teammates and stuff like that, and yeah.
Thank you.
Nice job. I signed my thing.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cohen Klimack. I play football and I wrestle. And at the leadership conference last week, it really helped open my eyes to how like young men have to kind of deal with stress and pressure, and how like they kind of got to hold that stuff in, they feel like. And as a young man, I've kind of dealt with that a little bit. And I feel like everyone has been in that situation that's an athlete. And for example, like in wrestling season, everyone expects a lot out of you. When you're put in that position where everyone kind of expects you to succeed, expects you to, win and win and win. And you come up short of something like that, you got to deal with failure. And I feel like at that conference, it really helps show you that you can kind of open up to other people. You can talk to a coach or parent. And if I feel like if it wasn't for our program, I feel like a lot of people would be in kind of like a bad state, a bad mental state of mind, because of the times that you got to go through by yourself and how you got to kind of tell people, you lost, and how you got to kind of deal with that stuff. And, it takes a toll on you mentally, but you can get through that stuff by talking to your coaches, talking to your parents, talking to people around you, like your teammates. But I feel like that conference really helped show how you can deal with failure in your high school sports and everything. TV Paul wanted me to tell you guys, if you had any questions, you can ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colin.
Sorry. Hello, my name is Madeline Genovese. I am a member of the Streetsboro girls soccer team and a proud member of our unified basketball team here at Streetsboro. And I took a little bit more away from the leadership side of things. Mental health was pretty impactful as well. But I think at the conference we did a lot of great leadership things that involved just keeping a good energy, encouraging your peers. At the conference, we did a big rock, paper, scissors tournament, and I actually lost to Cohen. But after you lost to someone, you had to cheer for them, like you were their biggest fan. And the next person you won or lost to, they would either join your team, and it's just kind of embodied keeping a good, positive attitude. I think over the past 2 years, a little background on me, I've been out about a year total for injury, and it's really hard being sidelined. And I've learned very great coping mechanisms, and I learned one at the mental health conference, and it was called a belly breath. And it's just kind of when you're getting overwhelmed, you're feeling stressed, you really breathe from your stomach. So I took that away. And it was just really good to, calm down, really refocus. When you're getting taken away from things, it's hard. You feel like you're failing, and you feel like you're losing it. So that's really good to refocus your mind. So those are some of the things we did at the mental health conference, and I just really think that it was important to be your teammate's biggest cheerleader and then stay focused on what matters the most. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Reagan Hendon, and I am a part of the girls' basketball team, but I do track as well. During the conference that we had, I think I took in more, just like Mads, the leadership side of it, because knowing that I am a junior and next year I would be a senior, I am expected more of a leadership role. But before the season started, having one-on-ones with my coaches, they said that for the JV team especially, they needed me from how I was a leader ever since freshman year. And during freshman year, I was very nervous and was in a bubble before I met and got used to the rest of my teammates. So the leadership side, it helped me really well, knowing that what I do with the team, especially on the sidelines with the varsity team, is very beneficial. And it also helps with school, like freshmen, when they first come in, knowing that I was once a freshman, being able to be their leader and show them around the school and getting them used to it was also beneficial. So, yeah, and the mental health part, being very stressed, especially during the tournament, knowing that we're playing these big teams, we had to have a very high standard, and all the pressure was on us because, we call ourselves the underdogs, being we haven't come this far ever since a long time, and getting a district title, making history, all the stress was put on us. So I think being able to go to that conference, especially along with my other teammates, knowing how we can deal with that and how it won't affect our game was very helpful.
Nice
Thank
job.
you.
Hi, my name is Grace Thompson. I play soccer and run cross country. The mental health leadership program was super helpful to me, and it made me realize like how much my cross teammates and others have helped me being a leader. I remember when my first ever cross country meet, there was this girl, and I was going slow, and I was struggling really hard to keep going and keep pushing myself. And there was this girl, and she was from a totally different school. I didn't know her. I've never seen her before. And she just told me, like, run with me. You got this. Keep going. And listening to talking about all the different kinds of leaders at the conference really helped me, like, remember that experience and how much it helped me. And I tried to do that for my teammates. And it made me really reflect on how important and impactful that was. The mental health side was also really important, being a dual sport athlete. Kind of hard to juggle everything, and it really helped me remember, like the belly breath, like Madeline said, really helped me to remember to like breathe and slow down. It was a really great conference. I do recommend it for next year.
Excellent, thank you.
Do we not have some incredible student athletes in the school? Students, period.
Yes, we do.
They are a shining example. We do plan on doing this on an annual basis. Some of you may remember we did this for the coaches in September.
Yep.
It was the mental health training. We had 47 of our coaches. I think only had 2 coaches that missed it, made it up on a webinar. It's very impactful for them too. So we had a lot of positive feedback. We appreciate your time. I appreciate you folks as well. Good job. So thank you very much.
Well, and what a great lesson. Breathe and, you know, what did you say, Grace? What was it? Breathe and keep going? Slow down. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, that's being an adult. They're learning
Isn't it though? And
yeah.
what our basketball team went through, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of
is.
stress. How stressed were we in the stands? Just like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? So
Agreed.
they're on the floor in the spotlight. And
Yep.
we did a phenomenal job. That
Absolutely.
was very fun. So thank
Well,
you very much.
I think we all wish we could say it gets easier in life, and once you're out of high school, those moments won't come, but you can use this throughout your entire life,
Yep.
right? So keep being leaders, keep pushing the envelope, and doing the great things that you're doing, because we're super proud of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You know, Mr.
Thank
T.
you for having, I'm sorry, Mike. Thanks
Sorry.
for having this. I did receive some really great feedbacks from other districts, from their students that had came, and so it was really nice that Streetsboro was able to host this and continue to host it, and it's nice that other districts are taking note of that too.
I just wanted to thank you, and I wanted to thank all 5 of you, ladies and gentlemen. You know, as I'm getting ready to retire, I look at you guys, and I'm really very proud of you guys, and this is what it's all about. And these kids are amazing. All 5 of them are amazing in their own way. And so thank you, all 5 of you, for coming and sharing your experience. I know it's not very easy to get up on a microphone. Maybe it is, I don't know. When I was your age, I would have never done that.
With no notes. Some of them didn't even have notes.
I was pretty impressed. So I do have notes up here I read from. So.
Same.
But thank you guys, and I think we should give these ladies and gentlemen a round of applause.
Yes.
Okay,
We need
moving
to start
on.
every
I would
meeting
like.
that.
What's that?
So we need to start every meeting like
That
that.
is, I agree.
It's a
with
good
that.
plan.
So while I asked Mr. Johansson if he could run and grab us some water. So thank you, Andreas. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Your superintendent failed. I didn't get here early enough to go get it, so he bailed me out. So while he's finishing that up, I'd like to invite our elementary team, Mrs. Abraham and Mrs. Wolf, to come forward, and they're going to talk about the same theme that our other administrators have talked about. They're going to talk to you about their data and their plan for improvement as we're tracking toward those state tests coming up. And I do know that, and they're fully aware of, as well as their staff, that, you know, on our district report card, probably our biggest area that we needed to improve on was that elementary. keeping in mind that the data that was on this year's report card was actually reflective of 2 years ago. So it was 2-year-old data. But that coupled with what these two ladies have done and with their staff, and the staff has worked really hard, I'm not going to say any more than that, but I'm confident that we're going to start seeing the growth that we expect to see. So Gwen, Jen, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thank you.
I'll get
it. Figuring out which buttons to hit.
Confused on the Chromebook. Okay, so we just wanted to start out with kind of where our data is, what we're looking at for this school, when we started this school year. So when Gwen and I came in last year was the 2022-2023 school year, so you can kind of see where that point is there at the bottom. And then you can see the growth that we had from 2022 to 2023, which is amazing growth, but it's still not exactly where we want it to be. So we do have a lot of work that we're still doing. But we have been seeing a lot of growth with our students, and our staff has been tremendous with being on board, with trying lots of different things, getting lots of new initiatives thrown at them. So some of our solutions that we have implemented since starting is we have a scheduled win time. So our students participate in this daily. It stands for What I Need. We take the MAP data and our M-Class data from every benchmark that we have, as well as our progress monitoring data, and separate the kiddos into different groups. So they might be in groups for phonemic awareness, they might be in groups for our Math Bridges intervention kit. It's just based on whatever the data is telling us that they need. And as you all know, we also implemented our CKLA curriculum this year, which was a huge initiative for us, and the teachers are absolutely loving it. And the fun and amazing things that we're seeing, our first grade team is actually taking the kiddos on a field trip to Great Lakes Science Center, and it's been tying in with their CKLA curriculum. So it's really cool seeing all of the ways that we can expand what they're doing with that. We've continued to work on the science of reading philosophy through Haggerty and UFly. Last year, our kindergarten team piloted UFly starting at the beginning of the year. And then when we saw their growth that they made just from the beginning of the year to winter benchmark, first grade and second grade jumped in on UFly. And one of the amazing things that we've seen this year is we actually have less groups in second grade and first grade that are using UFly as a tier 2 intervention with the kiddos. So we have more of those kiddos being at benchmark where they don't need the specific phonemic awareness. For our math, we are continuing to focus on our Bridges implementation, and specifically during our intervention time, our win time, the teachers are using our Bridges intervention kit that came with the math program. We talked a little bit about data fluency and using all of that. One of the big pushes that we've been doing is common assessments. Brittany Valviso, our math coach, just took a group of teachers on Monday, and they're working on taking the math assessments and breaking them down even further, making sure that they're testing to exactly what the standards say, to the rigor that they are. So on next Monday, she's actually going to take the next group of math team and continue to work on their common assessments as well. And then one of the big pushes last year, K through 5, was our PACS Good Behavior games. So we're continuing with that, and we're seeing a lot of growth with that as well. So along with our PACS Good Behavior game, this is just some of our Swiss data that we've had for the past couple of years. So the green is from the 2021 to 2020 school year. It's really small, sorry. I don't know how to get that any bigger. And then the blue is the 2022 to 2023, and then the orange is this current school year. So as you can see, every year we have seen the trend going down with our behavior referrals. So these are majors and minors. So the minors are more teacher managed. The majors are things that Gwen and I typically get involved in, although some of the minors we also get involved in just based on what the needs are. The dark line that's kind of like a little bit up, that's like the national median score. So you can see many of our referrals are now below that as well. So we are seeing a trend downwards in referrals of students. So this is showing us that the PACS Good Behavior game that we've been working on is really being implemented and working.
So all of this, all of these initiatives that we've been implementing, we're tracking with data to make sure that the interventions, the curricula, the intentional implementation of targeted instructional strategies, that it's actually resulting in good student achievement. So my notes disappeared, and I can't see, so I'm not going to be able to do the math, but I will share this with you later so you can see. This is what our data pool via MAP looked like for us last year. And in this data, anything that's above the 40th percentile gives us a lot of satisfaction knowing that it's fairly reliable, that there's a very good chance that if that child were to take a standardized test or a high-stakes test like the OST, anything at the 40th percentile and above, it's reliably telling us that they're going to score at least a proficient on those tests. So where we become concerned are any of the kids that are in the red area or the orange areas. So you'll see that last year, you'll see where our data was. The exact percentages are in the slideshow, and you'll see that when we give it to you later today. So that's last year. And this is where we were at winter benchmark this year. As you can see, it is a significant level of growth through intentional implementation. One very nice point to notice is just how remarkable the data looks for kindergarten. And you'll see on the left side, there are some bubbles. You've got the green and the 3 yellow. That is our percentile rank in achievement compared to similar schools. So this year, we've definitely made gains. And it just tells us that we're on the right track, and we're going to continue to persevere and to continue our initiatives. Last year, reading was definitely a concern. As you can see in our second grade data pool, we were not where we wanted to be. We were not performing where we wanted to be at all. That said, it is common in MAP. There are 2 levels of assessment. So we have the K2 assessment that really measures early literacy skills. And then we have the 2-5 assessment, which then is more of the higher level reading skills for kids who are independently reading. At SCS, we administer the 2-5 test beginning in 2nd grade because that's also the assessment that we use for giftedness identification. So it's very common that you're going to see a big dip in scores in 2nd grade because now the test, which had previously been read to the kids, they put headphones on and they just are answering questions orally. Now they have to independently read. Our goal is to see a big dip, but a huge rebound by winter benchmark. So last year this was concerning to us, which is one of the reasons why it was critical that we get on board a solid Tier 1 ELA program, which is what CKLA has provided for us. For this year, you'll see, again, a significant change. Again, kindergarten is knocking out of the ballpark, but you can see a significant difference then in the winter reading level for our 2nd grade population of kids. We're expecting to see that rebound continue into the spring, but we're very pleased because I believe last year, just as a building nationally, we were right in the 50th percentile. This year, nationally, our achievement is in the 57th percentile, which is trending in the right direction. So what we're taking away from all of this and all of this data is that we're going to continue doing the tasks that the evidence is demonstrating are effective. So we're going to continue our scheduling with WIN. And what's really nice about it is because we have so many kids that are reaching benchmark in phonics, that's opening up time where now we can start to really target math skills as well. So it's allowing us to explore other avenues to continue to grow kids. And we are going to continue with departmentalization in 2nd and 3rd grade. We decided that teachers needed to be able to work intentionally with great levels of focus to become experts at one area of core curriculum. And we're seeing that that has been very successful for us. And then also talking about what kinds of instructional strategies are high yield so that when we see an instructional problem, we know what instructional strategy best fits the needs to grow those children and to close those learning gaps. We're continuing implementation of CKLA next year. This year, the big focus was on the knowledge portion. It's very oral-based, vocabulary-rich. It is a program that builds amazing background knowledge for kids. The parents have been absolutely amazed. The feedback has been wonderful. When you have little kids learning about ancient Mesopotamia, body systems. We've got first graders, having wonderful intellectual conversations about the circulatory system. I mean, you really can't beat it, and it's really wonderful because this is where everybody can succeed, and these kids just love sharing. Next year, we're going to implement the skills portion of CKLA, which is that focus on the writing and some of the other building blocks of literacy, that we need the kids to know. And then we are going to continue looking at the standards because we've got this terrific CKLA program. We are going to continue doing a standards crosswalk because some of the tasks that they're learning, some of the content that they're learning are appropriate for science or social studies. So what we're really looking to do is to create a school environment where it's literacy instruction across all curricular areas. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but I think that we're ready for those next steps. And we're very excited about what our OSTAT is going to look like for this year because we've got some great evidence showing that we're trending in the right direction, which is what we all want. And then lastly, we're going to continue to refine our PACS Good Behavior game. You see that when we have fewer kids that are referred out of the classroom because of behavior, fewer kids means more instructional time, less time lost in instruction, more self-regulation, more resilience, and that is what we want to give to our students. It's a gift for them so that they can be successful in their futures. And that's it. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
It's interesting to see the PACS data from 2021, 2022, when we reopened after COVID, and what how many referrals there were compared to now.
Yes.
So,
a lot of our kids missed opportunities to build those kinds of self-regulation skills, cooperative skills with peers because they simply were away, right? We were all sequestered. I'm very pleased to see that, we try to, our lofty, ambitious goal is to have our behavior within like the parameter of the 25th percentile nationally. That's an ambitious goal. And it really has been hovering between the 25th and 50th percentile pretty consistently for the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
And I like that you put the national average in there. I think it's kind of eye-opening to see where we are too. But.
Right, and it's comparing to similar schools. So schools like us that are in the data pool.
Yeah, excellent.
I do want to say that a big part of Gwen's interview for SCS principal, there were two big parts to it, one of which was, and I'm paraphrasing, what can you bring to the table that can address the learning environment, specifically behaviors? Because one of the biggest asks from our staff was coming out of the pandemic, but I would argue prior to the pandemic, was what can we do to get behavior under control so that learning can occur? And this was a program that Gwen successfully implemented in Garfield Heights, and her superintendent verified that she was a leader in doing that. And I don't remember the data. I do remember the interview being wowed, and then following up with her superintendent and him verifying that the data was dramatic before PACS and after PACS. So we were hopeful that that would happen when she implemented that at SCS, and it took some buy-in. I mean, it was a little bit of a rocky start, only because it was brand new, and it took teachers out of their comfort zones. They had it for Monica's, and it's music-based to grab their attention, and it's all positive behavior. And then both of their interviews, they were tasked with talking about, okay, so if you get behavior under control, how are you going to target academics? And they both had plans to do that. And what you see, Board of Education members and community, is year 2 of a plan that's starting to come together. And so I wanted to thank the two of them and their staff because they're all working very hard on this. And they beat themselves up significantly when they saw the report cards this last year. Even though they knew it was 2-year-old data, it still reflected on them as a building and a staff. And these two ladies have really persevered some tough times, and they've had some great support from their staff. So I wanted to just give you two the kudos for hanging in there, keeping your foot on the gas pedal and working hard to get us this data. I think that everyone needs to be realistic, that I think that we're going to see some pretty significant growth, but don't expect too much growth all at once. I think that we tend to get very excited that it's going to be in the 90th percentile right out of the chutes, and that's not going to happen right away. It's going to take some time. So I kind of interrupted. I don't know if anyone else was going to say anything, but I just wanted to thank the two of them for the hard work and the staff.
Yeah, I think it's good to set expectations too, but progress is progress. And, I think if that's the road we're on, I can live with that.
And we all agree that we needed to have progress.
That's right.
Yes.
Agreed.
That's 100%.
Before we leave, though, I did want to just give one more quick shout out. Earlier today, we had Step Up to Quality come and visit our preschool program. So we're at the end of our biennium, so it was our big evaluation. And the preliminary results do say that we're maintaining our 5-star status. So I just want to give a shout out to my staff, because they were just working so hard and so nervous today, but they did fantastic. So I'm very proud of them.
I didn't know I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure if it was public knowledge, but since you did. So,
I mean, she said I'm going to get the email sometime tonight or tomorrow. And
I've not gotten it
I
yet, so
said
I'm
the word
checking.
preliminary, so, I mean, but the certificate she showed me had 5 stars on it, so.
Excellent.
We'll take
and board, that takes a significant amount of work,
Yes.
coordination-wise, and Mrs. Wolf has been the one coordinating that, in addition to her duties as assistant principal. So that's a huge shout out to Jen and the team that worked on that. So congratulations, SCS.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. John.
We're making record time today.
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten to CJ's yet.
That's true.
True. All right, let's move on to treasurer's report.
I got a few items I need to talk about really quick. One of my items tonight is the complaint against property valuation. In the past, the board did not actually have to hear this. We could just file the complaint straight with the county.
Yep.
But House Bill 126 changed that in July of 2022. The Ohio Revised Code does let a district file a complaint with the Board of Revision to revalue a property to reflect its recent sale price if they sold higher than 10% of the true value, as well as $535,000.
Yep.
So we have 4 of those such sales occur in 2022. For tax year 2023, collect 2024. So if they hear it and approve the higher price, that's an increase of taxes for us this year.
Yep.
Nice job.
The next one is
Right.
the appropriation amendment. The only one that was significant was the general fund, and we're only increasing it by $100,000 due to some special education needs that came up.
Yep.
And lastly, the general fund review. This is the first month in '24 that our cash balance was lower than last year. However, the main reason why is due to the tax advances we get. We have the same amount of advances, but the county received less money so far because they had the big payments didn't come until later this year. So we should see a very large final advance in March to get us back above last year.
Okay.
So that's it.
It's a lot to track, my friend. Nice job.
Yes, thank you.
Moving on to Chief Business Officer's report. It's a mouthful.
4 minutes and 20 seconds. Go.
As much as you need.
The food service report is attached in there for you to view. There's some
Already
good
looked
stuff
at it.
on Valentine's Day and some pierogies and different dishes that were offered to students, which I tried all. Very, very, very delicious.
Vegetable lo mein even.
Lots of good stuff going on. Vegetable, yes. Carrot dog, no.
No carrot dogs.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I'm sure Andrea's disappointed.
Andrea
boy.
made them for him.
Hopefully she's not watching.
You didn't hear that story.
Oh.
We also have on the agenda tonight as an operations team, contract renewal for Andreas Johansson. So I just wanted to point that out because you will be voting on that later. Andreas Johansson is very talented and a huge asset to the school district, and I'm hoping that everybody sees that value and continues allowing him to be employed here at the Streetsboro City Schools. We also have the OMEA contract. This is a little different from what we did last year. Mrs. Bonnets is in charge of this event now. It's something she's been doing for a long time. She sits on the OMEA board. Lots of planning. It's a huge event, junior high event, but it's going to be here. And they're going to have like 20 classrooms, all different sorts of areas in our facility. To
Excellent.
showcase our facility, we'll have a full team here working. She's the one that actually runs the event. So she'll be the boots on the ground with Miss Logan. It'll be a great event. I believe that we do not have students participating in the event this year, but the goal will be to have them prepared to perform in it next year from my knowledge, but that contract is on the agenda. We've identified that as a Class A event, meaning when you look at our schedule of events and how we charge, we will only be charging for custodial fees for that event, not at the actual space.
Okay. Understood.
And then, really quickly, I just wanted to thank all the businesses listed under donations that helped with a successful PD Day. That was ran here on February 16th that Andreas and Dan Stitzel had put together, and many other people, but they were the two main people. It was a wonderful event. Aramsco and Gardner, special shout out to them. They sponsored the breakfast and lunch, and then just so many giveaways, a lot of community businesses, even with the food. We tried to keep the food local and community businesses for the team to eat. Lots of great feedback there, so I wanted to make sure we thanked all of our business partners for that. And then I'd like to also thank all of our business partners and our local Board of Education for sponsoring the baseball and softball sign program. That's a big fundraiser for them. And so Andreas and I have helped with that for the past couple of years, reaching out to some of the business partners that we do business with and just asking them if they'd be willing to be partners with us on that fundraiser. And so we have done that a few years, and it brings in a lot of money for them. And so I just wanted to thank all of our business partners that have agreed to do those items, and the Board of Education, and Andreas and myself, we buy a sign also. So good stuff, all good stuff going on here. That concludes my report.
Nice job.
Finger snaps.
Let's wait till next month.
Good stuff. Okay, let's move on to board reports. I was just going to mention that we, next Thursday, I believe, is the tax incentive review that we will be participating in.
Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday. So Mrs. Campbell and Mrs. Scott, I believe, will be there on our behalf. So that is the report that I have. Mrs. Campbell?
Yes, so you stole my thunder with that.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
You can say it again.
No, it's fine.
It's worth repeating.
Since you're gonna go get an award for your daughter, Sarah and I are gonna go to the tax incentive meeting. So we're excited about that.
Well, that sounds like an even
It's
exchange.
a good trade.
Yeah,
No, I'm excited.
wow.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
You sound pumped.
We're excited. We're excited. I am going to go ahead and give an update for PTA since Mrs. Rich is not able to be here today. The PTA did host a election meeting last night at Duffer during their general membership meeting, and there was a new board voted on. June 1st, Nicole Coy and Katie Mendoza will be taking over as president and vice president. There are many others that were also elected last night that for the sake of not messing up anyone's name, I'm going to refer you to the PTA Facebook page. But excited for them to get started. Very thankful for Liz Curtis and her team and Rhonda French for the work that they've done during their tenure here. And so they will be wrapping up end of May. And the new board will take over June 1st. They have a number of events coming up that are outstanding, and I would encourage anyone to follow their Facebook page and or their website just to see all of the things that are going on and the great things that they're doing. So I'm very thankful for that organization. That one is near and dear to me, so very thankful for that. That concludes my report, I think. Yep, that's it.
All right. Education. The end of the third quarter is tomorrow, believe it or not. Yeah. Report cards are going to be going out right before spring break, which is the last week of this month. This morning, the junior class took the SAT here at the high school, and I'm sure they all did fabulous, because we all love the SAT. Second graders will be completing the COGATs when they return from spring break. Third to eighth graders will be taking the Ohio State reading and math tests. And end-of-course exams in algebra, geometry, American history, government, and English 2 will be administered in April. And for athletics, our wrestling team placed second in the MAC. Anthony Sindelar placed 7th overall at the state meet, which is a great achievement. Bowling, junior Connor Stevens and sophomore Kendall Clark qualified for districts as individuals. Connor had a 599 series at districts, and he placed 37th. Kendall rolled a 433 series and placed 85th. Congratulations to them for qualifying. The boys basketball team finished their season 15-10 and was second in the MAC conference. The team won their sectional championship. Junior Jack Batten earned first team All-MAC and broke the school record for the most three-pointers in a career with 124, and he still has another year to go. So that's exciting stuff too. And the girls basketball team, you know,
No
near
big
and
deal.
dear to our hearts.
No big deal.
No big deal. They only had their greatest season in school history.
And Portage County history, I
Yes.
heard.
Hold on.
They are the,
Hold on.
sorry.
give me that.
Sorry. She stole my thunder, so I stole yours.
Okay, everybody's stealing thunder tonight. The team made it to the regional final, which is the furthest a Portage County basketball team has ever gone. The team had a school record of 23 wins, first ever conference championship, first ever district championship, and beat the top seed in the Northeast Ohio to make the regional final. The support the team received from our staff and community was incredible. Special thank yous to Mrs. Durkins, who raised funds and arranged the yard sign for the girls, and for Mayor Braska, the athletic department, and the police department, who arranged for the police escort on their way to the regional finals. That concludes my report.
Very exciting. Yes, yes.
I have a couple updates. Nothing very, unfortunately, exciting in the legislative update. Probably the most important thing is that they're working to finalize budget, which will probably affect our funding. So we'll keep an eye on that. I will also report out on band since Ms. Rich is unavailable. So from Mrs. Bonnets, congratulations to our high school band for receiving an excellent rating at the OMEA District 6 large group adjudicated event on March 8th. Congratulations to the middle school and high school programs on a fantastic Festival of Band performance last night. I agree, I was here, it was a packed house, it was fantastic. Congratulations to the students who represented Streetsboro, the American School Band Directors Association Ohio Honor Roll Band in green on March 2nd. That was Aiden Sadowski, Kendall Clark, and Jacob Kentalmo. And we are looking forward to our spring opportunities, junior high solo and ensemble in April, the Music Boosters Music Mixer in May. I think it's a 90s theme. Ooh, can't go wrong. Oh. Hosting the OMEA District 6 Junior High Large Group in May, and our spring concerts where the middle school and high school band will premiere 2 pieces as commissioning parties to the composer Randall Standlebridge, which also I hear the band is excited to have that opportunity to play brand new music.
Awesome.
So that's it.
It's nice to see the band
It is.
doing well, and I mean, been a little bit of a rocky road, so I'm really glad to see them doing well.
Yeah, I will say from my own personal experience, the kids are engaged and happy.
Oh, good. So good to hear.
Yes, it is.
Excellent.
All right, that concludes board reports. On to consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education, actually, before we get there, I guess we can do that during comments. So it is recommended the Board of Education approve donations. Oops,
Nope.
my bad. Let me go back. Let me go back. Consent agenda items B through M.
I'll move.
I'll second. Any discussion? I do.
I do too.
Okay.
Yep, we all do, I think.
Good. Yeah, I just wanted to, obviously I can't read all these because there are a ton. But it is just so nice to see when we need something in this district, financially, food, like anything, that people step up left and right. I was very proud, you had mentioned Paul had put in, had asked for the banners or the signage for the girls. Our staff, within 30 minutes, our staff and community had it covered, with more to give stuff to the girls. So that's one example of what our amazing community does. So, I'm just looking on here, $100 donation to the Just Say No Club, $600 donation to Henry Deffer for, a field trip. So it's in little amounts and it's in big amounts, but it all matters and it adds up. So I just wanted to say thank you. So go ahead, Mr. Dalbo, do you have something else?
Actually, I'll let you go first.
Hopefully I don't steal your thunder, because apparently that's what I'm doing today. I just wanted to say, in addition to thank you for the donations, even with the events that we have, it's wonderful to see the relationships that we're building with the community and with the businesses are obviously feeding us those opportunities. So we're very thankful for that. Also, just wanted to, there's a retirement on the consent agenda item. Just wanted to say thank you. I stole it, didn't I?
It's okay.
I'm just going to sit here and be quiet.
Good finish.
I just want to say thank you to Susie Klein. She's been around as long as I think I've been around, if not longer, just under. And it's wonderful just for her to be able to go and enjoy.
She's been a trooper, and she's been here. She's made it her entire career here, and I wanted to thank her as well. But so
Sorry.
thanks. That's okay. No, it's great because Susie deserves the accolades.
Yes, agreed.
And then board and anyone that's using board docs or a printed copy, while we were starting the meeting, I did modify under job descriptions, and I took off Director of Student Services because Mr. Grimm used to always read and find our errors, and Mr. Grimm is no longer here, and Mrs. Campbell called me and said, Mike, there was like one omission on that job description. I was like, we had like 10 people read it, but she found it. So that will be on next month. It's not really of any consequence, but there's really no point in doing the same job description twice.
Correct.
So I just went ahead and pulled it off. So there's no Director of Student Services on job description on there. That will be on next month.
Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? I'm hearing none. Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Moving on to superintendent's recommendations.
Thank you. I have three. Item A is recommended the Board of Education approve the following administrative contract renewals for Jay Bishop, Lee Wepler, and Jennifer Wolf.
I'll move.
I will second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I say something?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for staying. We're excited to have you for additional years.
Thank
We
you.
are happy.
I
We are
agree,
very
I
happy.
agree.
Item B, it is recommended the Board of Education accept the resignation of Brett McCann, high school principal, effective 7/31 of 2024.
I'll
I
move.
don't want to move.
I'll
Are you
move.
moving?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay.
Only because good things are coming
I
after
know.
this.
Yep.
It's because it's followed by
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Haynes, please
Mrs.
go.
Scott.
yes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So Board, before we move on to item 3, the longer we take to get to item 3, the longer Mr. McCann is unemployed from the district and does not have a job. So I don't know, is he
That
sweating
kid's
back there?
7:31.
Looks like
It's
he is a
not
little bit,
September
starting
31st
to
yet.
bite his nails.
He's still employed.
Yeah, he's,
It's not
We
Sep-
might have to think about it a little bit more.
so I don't know, I may have to pull item C off the agenda.
I think so.
but
Cindy's not
Put it on
here.
next month.
I could, you know? Okay, great. All right, I'm sorry. Item C, it is recommended the Board of Education hire Brett McCann as the Director of Teaching and Learning effective August 1st, 2024 through July 31st of 2027 as shown in the attachment.
I will move.
Second.
Let's fight for it.
All right.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say a few things. So we did have 2 internal candidates, and they both did an extremely good job. But when I say that we have 2 internal candidates for this position and 3 internal candidates for the open Director of Student Learning and 3 internal candidates for the high school principal job, that points to the strength of this administrative team. And I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me say that, but I'm very proud of the fact that we have a very strong admin team. And so we have people that are ready to fill those roles. So, in speaking specifically about Brett, Brett and the other candidate were given 1 prompt and 1 prompt only, and they had to prepare. And I'm going to read it to you. And the prompt was, when taking a global view of our district in regards to teaching and learning, if you were named the Director of Teaching and Learning, what would your plan be moving forward? Identify this in terms of immediate, short-term, and long-term goals, keeping in mind the district's strategic plan as well as your own vision for the Streetsboro City School District. You will have up to 45 minutes to present your ideas. And that's all we gave them. We did not allow clarification questions. That's your prompt. That's what you need to come prepared to talk about. And if you talk up to 45 minutes, at minute 46, you'll be stopped. And then you are going to have a barrage of about 45 minutes more of specific questions related to the district. And both candidates came in and did a great job. Mr. McCann very much articulated a very clear vision for building on what we have in place. One of the things he emphasized was he felt like we had all the pieces in place. And I am paraphrasing from Mrs. Devers, by the way, I should have said that. But we did have the pieces in place, and he very clearly articulated what his plan would be moving forward in short term, midterm, and long term on how we now begin moving raising the bar based on what's already in place. And that included circling back to things that have been implemented, staff development. One of the things that we sometimes miss on is we implement a new program, but we don't make ongoing staff development. He talked about that and also focused about having the right people on the team. And he was excited, he was energetic. I actually greeted both candidates to try and calm their nerves, and then they went into an interview with Mrs. Devers and her team. And I sat in her office so I could kind of hear. And I will tell you that Brett's presentation was very energetic. At times I didn't even have to push my ear to the wall because he was really, I could tell he was probably out of his seat. But we are really excited for not only for Brett, but for the future of the Streetsboro City School District. So congratulations, Brett.
Congratulations.
Agreed.
Yeah, congratulations.
Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Bradford,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Brett.
That concludes my recommendations.
All right, moving on to Chief Business Officer's recommendations.
You skipped me.
I missed the treasurer.
Treasurer.
It's fine.
We can just go back and forth. Treasurer recommendations.
First one, it is recommended that the board approve the attached resolutions authorizing the filing of complaints against evaluation of real property.
I will move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Epple,
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries.
It is recommended the Board of Education approve the amended appropriations for fiscal year 2024, and estimated resources will be adjusted as needed for permanent appropriations.
I'll move.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Bedford,
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Epple,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That's all my recommendations.
Now on to Chief Business Officer's recommendations.
35 seconds, go.
Thank you. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the contract renewal of Andreas Johansson, Director of Operations, as attached.
I'll move.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? I know we already clapped for him. We're excited. You're staying
I was going to say,
on?
my comments go also to you, Andreas. Thank you for staying.
Thank you. Mr.
We're
Haynes?
excited.
Mrs. Bedford,
Yes.
Mrs. Epple,
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Board, and congratulations to Andreas. A second recommendation, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the facility rental agreement between Streetsboro City School District's Board of Education and OMEA as attached.
I'll move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Anybody? Okay. Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Epple,
Yes.
Mrs. Bradford,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you,
Board.
CJ.
That concludes my recommendations.
Thank you.
Close. It was close.
Any new business? Hearing none. Any old business that we need to talk about?
I have to say something.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You ready?
It's going to be at me, so let's be ready.
Mr. Violi isn't here, and in the spirit of Mr. Violi, I would just like to say, the sign looks lovely. It's being used appropriately. It's wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you again to you and your team, Andreas, and everyone else that made that possible.
Yeah, it does look good.
That's all I wanted to say.
Looks nice. Stay tuned. There'll be not a digital sign, but a new sign at DEFA
Yep.
coming very soon.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Okay, let's move on to board president recommendations. It's recommended that the Board of Education deny both level 3 grievances as shown in the attachments that you should have had. Can I get a motion?
Yep, I'll move.
Okay.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Mrs. Bradford.
Yes.
Mrs. Eppel.
Yes.
Motion carries. Board policy updates. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the following board updates. And you will see there are, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them there.
Listed.
What?
I said they're listed there.
Yep.
I'll move.
I'll second. First and a second. Any discussion?
These are just updates that the attorney provides us, so.
Okay. I don't hear any more. Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mrs. Eppel.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries. On to Chief Business Officer contract. Gives me great pleasure to say that it is recommended that the board approve the contract renewal of
Carl?
Carl? You want me to call you Carl?
No.
CJ. I
No,
didn't
you
think so,
cannot.
but I just want to make sure. Scarsapino, Chief Business Officer as attached.
I will move.
Second.
We have a first and a second in the discussion. I would like you to thank you for bearing with us.
Yes.
I've had a crazy few weeks, but you were very kind with your, and
Patient.
down to the last minute. So I am very thankful that we were able to work together on that. And we're just glad you're here and for everything that you and Andreas and the team do. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. I enjoy being here. I enjoy working for this Board of Education, and I love this community and this school district. So I look forward to continuing on.
Awesome.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you. Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Eppel.
Yes.
Mrs. Bradford.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
He's sinusy.
Motion carries. Okey dokey.
Thank you for staying. That's my theme today. Thank you for staying.
You're welcome.
Okay, it is recommended the Board of Education enter into executive session to consider the employment with respect to a public employee or official, to discuss matters required to be kept confidential by the federal law or regulations or state statutes, and to discuss details relative to security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or public office. If disclosure of any matter discussed could reasonably be expected to jeopardize the security of the public body or public office with no action to follow.
I will move.
Second.
We have a first and a second.
No discussion.
No discussion.
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Eppel.
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes,
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
we are in executive session at
Where's your gavel?
6:44. I have it.
Exactly now.